So for our final part with Lionheart, we're looking at how surveyors can support Lionheart and everything they're doing. And I think in the last part, topic three, we've sort of, I think, dispelled quite a few myths around how much Lionheart does and it's, what sort of scope, I suppose, beyond just providing payments and so on. So all the training and other types of support. Um, I suppose if you're a surveyor, what roles can you take on to support Lionheart if you're interested in doing that?
We're always looking for ambassadors, and this is one area of our work that I have focused on. I came on to Lionheart probably about 2 years ago, and that was my role then, was to support and grow our ambassador program. And we started off looking at ambassadors in the mental health area, those that had actually received our support and wanted to give something back by talking about their experience, what they had received from Lionheart and how much it had helped them. And then we grew into APC ambassadors. So as Parita has mentioned about the support that we provide to APC candidates, again, an enormous amount of gratitude around that has encourage people to come back and say, we want to help with what it is that you're doing. So those are the two main areas. And then I focused on actually expanding that. We recognise that there were people that didn't necessarily fall into those two camps, but that wanted to help Lionheart a bit more. And we started looking at global ambassadors because, of course, I don't know if we've touched on it really, the fact that Lionheart is global. So wherever you're based in the globe, if you're an RICS member, you are entitled to access our support, and we really encourage all members to get in touch if they need us. But your global ambassadors do an amazing job because they're usually really experienced surveyors. They've probably been in the profession quite a while. They're based outside the UK and probably have really strong networks. They might even be on a board with the RICS, and we ask them to talk about what Lionheart does, look at opportunities to share our stories and what it is that we do. And I think they play a really important role because you do quite often see a little spike in contact that comes to us when individuals like that have spoken on our behalf. So they're fantastic. But we're also looking to expand our network within the UK. We recognise that there are still places that we go that don't know what Lionheart does, or they do pigeonhole us and think we're just there for financial help. And those ambassadors really do play a big role, whether they're within our firms that we've partnered with, or whether they're just networking ambassadors. So again, get to use their networks in the UK and talk about what we do. They help us with speaking opportunities. If we're going to visit RICS events or events with our corporates, then we do quite often send ambassadors along because they do have the passion. Whether they've actually received our support or whether they're just a big fan of what Lionheart does, they're there to talk about us. And I think they bring that passion. And there's also something about surveyors in the audience who they connect with that individual because they are surveyors as well. I think sometimes they kind of engage with that story a bit more because they're hearing it from a peer rather than just someone at the Lionheart charity. So I think, our ambassadors are a huge a benefit to us. And I think, I'm really proud of what they do.
Awesome. How does someone become an ambassador if they wanted to do that?
Get in touch with the website, get in touch with me through LinkedIn, or just contact us on the ambassador@lionheart.org.uk, and just say, I would really like to know more about it, and we're willing to share information about the role. It's a very light touch role. We do ask that you're an RICS member. We take you through an application process, an induction process. We're really good at supporting our ambassadors. But really just start that conversation. Get in touch with one of us, and we're more than willing to talk about what the role's about. And we want to, for people to bring their ideas along as well. We're not really fixed about what ambassadors do. We always like to hear what they're interested in and how they can help, because I think we've managed to expand the programme enormously, just taking on ideas from our own ambassadors, not least in fundraising. I think we've never really harnessed that ability of our ambassadors, but we've discovered we've got some really, really sporty ambassadors out there who want to help us. And we've used that enthusiasm to help raise awareness and raise funds as well.
Awesome. Well, actually, on the funds part, that's an interesting one. I was about to come on to that next. Um, Obviously, everything that you do will cost money to provide. Then there's with a lot of services and people providing the services that needs funding. So I know we touched on this a little bit earlier around when you're renewing a membership with the RICS, there's the option to tick and potentially some corporates might cover that. But how does the funding side work? And are there ways people can help with like donations or that's a bit of an open-ended question.
Just getting the money in through the door. Yeah, it is a really important aspect because we are a charity and all of the services that we provide are free. So yes, they do have to be paid for. We do have to be able to finance it. And as I say, I think I said earlier, the majority of our money comes from donations. At subscription time, we ask individuals to tick the box at the bottom of their subscription form, which says, I want to donate £25 to LionHeart. And we're always really grateful for that because it does help us enormously. But I think I also touched on the fact that we do have partnerships with corporates, and the bigger corporates will pay the subscription renewal on behalf of the surveyors. So they won't even see that form. And I think sometimes there is that misconception, that assumption that either the employer is perhaps going to make the donation on their behalf, or even by the employer, that the RICS might be making that donation on their behalf. And that doesn't happen unless the individual ticks the box, unless the corporate recognises that actually those donations haven't been made and they make a separate donation. That just doesn't happen. So we do work really hard with our RICS to try and make that process easier and bring that awareness to our corporates. But I think we always need to talk about it. We need to talk that those donations, those £25 at renewal time are really important. But also not just that. That would be great if everybody donated. I think there would be a lot of funds available. But we also are looking for fundraising, those opportunities. We do have a fundraising team on board. They're always working with corporates and individuals to try and help raise our awareness and raise those funds as well. So if you are thinking of getting involved with fundraising, please do have a look at our website, get in touch with our fundraisers, because we'd be delighted to hear from you. And we're always grateful for that kind of support. And of course, I did mention about the legacy giving as well. We do have some wonderful surveyors that always think of us and put us in their will. And if you have any questions around that, please do get in touch, because I think we have received a lot of funding that way, haven't we, Parita, from big donations that have come in from surveyors that have passed away, and we're really grateful for those. But a lesser known way of supporting us financially is the unused client funds, and these funds that just sit with firms, and it's quite a common instance with SMEs as well. So probably those that are listening to us is have a think about what you're doing with the unclaimed funds, because they do have to go to charity, and it would be great if LionHeart was that first thought, and it kind of fits very well. I think if you've got those unclaimed funds and to go to a surveyor charity that is going to help other surveyors in your position, then that would be fantastic. So yeah, those are the main ways. But if anybody wants to help with the fundraising, please do get in touch, because we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about the unused funds part, and I imagine that could actually be quite a nice way to give back to the industry, actually. I suppose beyond donations and the ambassador role, are there any other ways that surveyors can help, or are they the key ways?
Well, do you know what? I think for me, if someone is talking about LionHeart, we're in a much better position. So you don't have to be an ambassador. You don't necessarily have to have received help from us. If you know about LionHeart and even the slightest bit about us, please talk about us to your colleagues at work, to your family members, because you never know when that's going to make all the difference. When someone's going to go, well, I heard about LionHeart and I think it might help me, whether it's a family member, whether it's a colleague. I think it's just about knowing about us, finding out a bit more about us and talking about us. And I think if we can get to a situation where more people are talking about LionHeart, then perhaps Parita and I, when we go out to events and people say, I either haven't heard about LionHeart or I didn't know that you did so much. Because I'd love to go to an event and someone say, yeah, I know everything about LionHeart. And you can think, well, I don't have to say anything more then. But we're not quite there yet. We're still finding quite a lot of people who, although they know the name, they don't know what we do.
Yes, actually, one thing that popped into my head there, based on what you said, was it's probably quite an important thing to do, particularly maybe as an SME, to have a little mini policy right somewhere where, if you have a certain problem, Lionheart is an option that you can reach out to, or something you can mention to your team if you're you have a few people working with you, because it's not until a crisis, I suppose, comes up that you sort of need to think about something, and in crisis mode you're not thinking straight, so you might not think straight away to Lionheart. So it's the same if you have a claim comes in, you've got a complaint handling or complaint comes in, sorry, you've got a complaint handling process that helps you go through that, so you're not having to scramble at the time. So I suppose something similar to go, actually, right, what can trigger my thought process when something hits, something goes wrong, something there's a hiccup, what will trigger that memory. So that's probably something that can be done as well, I think, just to reference at the time when you need it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we work really closely with corporates, and if you're in that situation, please go and have a look at the website. We have a whole section on the work we do with corporates, but there's an awful lot of information on there that SMEs can lift and put on their own intranet. There's plenty of links. And if they want basic information from us, please get in touch, because as I say, I'm the Strategic Relationships Manager. So I'm more than happy to hear from SMEs and corporates that want a little bit more information that they can share with their teams, and how we can support them when they need it most.
Awesome. It's been really interesting today. I've learned a lot myself, actually, about Lionheart and what you do, more in depth than even I realised, having done some research beforehand. So thank you for coming on. If anyone does want to get in touch, what's the best way to start the process?
So I would say that if they can visit the website, so www.lionheart.org.uk, and they'll find all our contact details on the bottom of the page. So the email address, our contact number, again, or there's the chat option. So whichever way they'd like to get in contact with us, that would be great.
Awesome. Well, thank you both for coming on.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure, Matt.